Hey guys, conic section number 2, we're going to be looking at circles. Circles are the easiest one, which is kind of nice to have a break after our brain kind of went through some intensity with parabolas. And circles also kind of lead us into what we're going to be doing next. And so the essential question for right now is, how are circles like ellipses? And I know some of you, you're like, Visto, I don't know what an ellipse is. Some of you are like, Visto, is that the 3 dots when someone's like dun 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 or whatever at the end? That's an ellipsis, S-I-S. So that's your fun fact of the day. You can dazzle your English teacher with that. Ellipses are a technical term for basically an oval, and we're going to get more into those in a little bit. But for today, we're going to be looking just at circles, and then I want you to carry forward when we get into ellipses that idea of how are circles like ellipses. Okay? So we are going to begin with our kind of newish definition. Remember how we started our parabolas definition, which was the set of all points that has not gone away, that are I'm going to use the word equidistant again, but then I'm going to kind of clarify it a little bit. So I'm going to say equidistant because I think that's such a good word, and it's good for us to be mindful of that word. Then I'm going to say a fixed distance because that's going to come in handy for how we start to do our definition. Or not our definition, but to start to do our characteristics. Because that fixed distance, that's our radius. From a given point. Super fun fact, if we wanted to get picky, we would say in 2-dimensional space, right? We would just say like circles going around 2D. If we decided that we were going to let ourselves live in 3D, then we would get a sphere. And so that's the same definition, set of all points that are equidistant, a fixed distance from a given point in space would be a sphere. And we're not in space today, we're just living on flat paper. So as we are kind of diving into this, if you think back to what you know about compasses from when you were like in geometry or when like you were a 6th grader doing cool art projects, and if you wanted to draw a circle, you would lock in the pointy part, the part that most 7th graders used to stab each other with, and then you would use the pencil to swing out wide. And as you set up your compass, that pointy part acted as the center. That was your given point. You dropped that in, and then how far you opened the mouth of your compass to make the radius, that was fixed. And then you swung it around so you could get every possible point, or like if you were like me, your compass didn't work well and you like missed giant chunks or like it didn't line up. But the goal was to get every point that was a fixed distance away. So we're going to take a little bit of a look at a circle. I am going to try and make, not technology, but make this Yahtzee shaking cup work for me, so I can get a decent looking circle for you guys to look at, instead of me trying to wing it and then it all being a disaster. It's got a little lump right there and like a, I don't know, a fuse or something over there, but we'll go with it. So in this circle, we have a center, and we have a radius. Okay, circles are wonderful and exciting and kind of boring, but the equation for a circle looks like this. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. We don't have different equations for different types of circles, we just hit them hard with the one. And for circles, we can talk about where their center lives, and we can talk about what their radius is. Okay? The center of the circle is at the ordered pair h. Okay. you are gonna hear, or you're going to hopefully get to hear me say X lies a lot. And all that it means is that when I see a circle, and let's say in parentheses right here, it says X plus 2, that means my circle has a center with an X coordinate of -2, right? It's the minus H that kind of flips the sign on whatever number we're looking at, but that's a lot to hold in our brain, so I just like to say X lies because I think it sounds fun. And then the radius is R. And all that means is we're just gonna look at what is the square root of R squared. In other words, if my number after the equal sign is 36, then my radius is 6. Not because, for any, like, we just write it as R squared. It's actually tied to the distance formula, which is gonna come in handy a little bit too. So just kind of being mindful of that. But there's kind of your crash course in circles. Not a lot for you on them because there's just not a lot to them. They're boring and wonderful and a nice little brain break. So hopefully you took all that in and you're ready to rock.